Have you ever wondered why some people seem destructive and dangerous and you don't even notice? Perhaps you are surrounded by individuals who, without warning, undermine your confidence, manipulate your emotions, or even threaten your peace of mind. You feel that something is wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Or maybe, somehow, you always end up falling into the trap of people who seem harmless but actually carry an invisible threat. And then the question remains, how can you protect your energy, your essence, from those who really pose a danger to you? If this resonates with you, know that you are not alone. Many live in doubt, unsure of whom to trust, while accepting to live with people who seem good on the outside, but carry destructive intentions on the inside. Perhaps you have already felt that something is wrong, but cannot put your finger on it. Or worse, have you ever found yourself wondering if you are being overly paranoid, exaggerating your concerns? But the truth is that according to Carl Jung, there are people who pose a real threat to your emotional and mental health. Imagine for a moment what would happen if you could identify who these dangerous people are. How would your life change if you knew exactly who you should or should not get involved with? More importantly, how could you prevent these people from destroying what you have worked so hard to build? That is the key. And the good news is that Jung revealed exactly who these people are and how to recognize them before it is too late. Throughout this video, we will explore the 6 types of dangerous people you should avoid at all costs. People who often go unnoticed, but who can destroy your peace, your success, your happiness. You will understand why these individuals pose a real threat and how to protect yourself from them. Believe me, this information could be a turning point in your life. If you want to learn how to recognize these people and strengthen your emotional defenses, then I invite you to stay with me until the end. Here, we will talk about what no one talks about, what few have the courage to admit. If this topic made you think, if it raised any questions or fears, remember, change begins with your awareness. And for that, it is essential that you are attentive, prepared, and willing to act. If you really want to understand who these invisible dangers are and how to protect yourself from them, subscribe to the channel now. Here, we talk about what really matters with courage and sincerity. Because only then can you transform your life, free yourself from these threats, and achieve the peace you deserve. So don't waste any time. Subscribe, activate the bell, and come discover how to avoid the 6 types of dangerous people revealed by Carl Jung. Your emotional freedom depends on it. Have you ever felt like you were trapped in an invisible web, where feelings of exhaustion and insecurity slowly consume you without you even realizing it? Maybe deep down, you know that something is wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. This feeling of emptiness, of always fighting a battle that seems endless, leaves you exhausted, as if your energy is being drained away every day. You wake up with hope that everything will get better, but as the day progresses, that hope fades, replaced by a growing anxiety that seems to have no way out. Inside you, there is a constant conflict. One voice insists that you need to be strong, that you can't show weakness, and another cries silently for relief for someone who truly understands you. You feel torn between the desire to move forward, to maintain your stance, and the fear that if you stop for a moment, everything will fall apart. This internal struggle creates a vicious cycle that traps you in a state of stagnation, where the fear of surrendering to vulnerability prevents you from breathing deeply and simply being yourself. You find yourself repeating the same patterns, falling into the same emotional traps, as if you were doomed to relive the same pains over and over again. Every attempt at change seems futile, because at the slightest sign of weakness, everything returns to square one. It's as if an invisible force is pulling you down, feeding that feeling of helplessness that nothing will ever really get better. You feel a deep sadness, a sense of isolation that makes you believe you are alone in your pain, even when surrounded by people who often seem unable to understand how you really feel. And deep down, all of this creates a feeling of frustration, mental and emotional exhaustion that you cannot shake. You want to break free. You want to escape this cycle that is slowly consuming you, but you remain trapped in the same trap. It's as if part of you knows you need change, but another, stronger part insists on keeping you in the same routine of suffering, like an invisible prison that holds you without you realizing it. And in the meantime, you wonder if you'll ever really escape this internal storm, or if you'll be forever trapped in this maze of pain and frustrated hope. Every morning is a struggle against a silent force that insists on pulling you back into bed, as if a shadow were holding you by the foot, preventing you from moving forward with energy. You find yourself compulsively checking your cell phone, looking for a message, some sign that everything will get better, but all you find is a deep emptiness, a feeling of loneliness that squeezes your chest like a cold, invisible hand. During the day, you find yourself repeating behaviors that seem automatic, almost like a defense mechanism you can't control. You avoid socializing with people because you feel that any interaction could pull you into an emotional abyss. You smile, yes, but it's a forced smile that disappears as soon as no one is looking. You find yourself laughing at jokes that aren't funny, just to mask the inner silence that consumes you. You work, but every task seems like a mountain to climb, a battle against a feeling of uselessness that has been with you since morning. You feel like you're just going through the motions, like a machine, an empty shell of someone who was once full of hope. In the middle of the day, a silent anxiety sets in. It doesn't scream, it doesn't make a sound, it just stays there, stuck in your mind, preventing you from breathing deeply. You find yourself thinking about the same things, revisiting old mistakes, reviewing moments of failure, as if these memories were wounds that never heal. You avoid looking in the mirror because you don't want to face your tired face, your eyes that seem filled with a sadness that no one else can see. You feel trapped in a routine of self-pity and hopelessness, as if you were in a small, dark room with no way out. At night, the emotional weight only increases. You lie down trying to find peace, but all you can do is relive the same negative thoughts. You blame yourself for feeling this way, for not being able to break out of this vicious cycle. You think that maybe you are weak, that you should be stronger, more resilient. But the truth is that this silent pain is consuming you from within, devouring your self-esteem, eroding your will to fight. Every tear that escapes is proof that you are tired, exhausted from trying to hide the suffering that lives hidden behind a forced smile. This feeling of emptiness, of disconnection, of isolation is so real that it feels like an invisible prison you cannot escape. You feel like you're drowning in a sea of emotions that seem endless, as if you were trapped in a web of suffering that never unravels. And this silent pain that insists on staying with you is your constant companion, the invisible weight that prevents you from breathing freely. Carl Jung said that those who look outside dream, those who look inside awaken. And it is precisely this search for inner understanding that reveals the invisible forces that shape your life. Deep down, there is a reality that we often ignore. We are influenced by people and energies that can destroy us without us even realizing it. These influences are linked to something Jung called archetypes, and dangerous types of people, which act as destructive forces disguised as friendship, love, or even care. They are like shadows that infiltrate our routine, feeding doubts, fear, and hopelessness. And by not recognizing them, we become vulnerable, trapped in a cycle of silent suffering, emotional exhaustion, and a constant feeling of helplessness. Imagine that there is an invisible universe within you, a constant battle between what you want and what is manipulated by these types of influences. Have you ever wondered why, even when you try hard, you feel like something is holding you back? Why does hope sometimes disappear suddenly, leaving only emptiness? This feeling of being stuck, of not being enough, may be linked to these hidden forces that Jung identified as the 6 types of people we should avoid. These people have a corrosive effect, like silent poison, that undermines your self-confidence and steals your peace. The question remains, can you identify these influences in your life? Can you tell when someone, consciously or unconsciously, is pulling you down, feeding your doubts, or strengthening your fears? This reflection is the first step to freeing yourself. Because when you understand who these invisible dangers are, you gain the power to protect yourself, set boundaries, and reconnect with your inner strength. And more than that, by exploring these concepts, you begin to understand that your greatest enemy is often within you, in your own acceptance of certain influences or your lack of attention to them. Have you ever wondered why you accept certain attitudes or words that hurt you? Why do you let yourself get caught up in negative thoughts that seem to dominate your mind? These questions are essential to creating a deeper connection with your true self, so that you can recognize these invisible dangers before they destroy your peace and hope. Get ready, because in the next step, we will reveal exactly who these 6 dangerous people are, how to recognize them in your daily routine, and most importantly, how to protect yourself from them. Because deep down, your greatest strength lies in your ability to know yourself and avoid what feeds your pain. And that journey begins now. This happens because you are often unconsciously stuck in a pattern of behavior that was created by invisible influences around you. One of these influences comes from dangerous people, those who, according to Carl Jung, represent destructive forces disguised as friendship or care. They act subtly, feeding your doubts, fear, and hopelessness, even if you don't realize it. This is a concrete manifestation of a psychological concept called emotional inertia, an unconscious resistance to changes that could set you free. For example, you may have someone in your routine who, instead of supporting you, constantly minimizes your achievements or makes comments that make you feel insecure, such as, "You'll never be able to do that," or "You're not capable of changing." You see, these words, although they seem small, accumulate, feeding an inner voice of doubt that prevents you from moving forward. You feel paralyzed, afraid to try something new, because the pattern of feeling incapable has been reinforced by this negative influence. Another common example is when you avoid setting boundaries with people who bring you down, such as a friend who always complains about your dreams, or a loved one who makes you feel selfish for wanting something better for your life. You accept these criticisms or comments as if they were absolute truths, because unconsciously you believe that you don't deserve better or that you aren't strong enough to resist. This attitude reflects an emotional resistance that keeps you stuck in an old narrative of inadequacy and dependence. You may also notice that, when faced with decisions, you prefer to follow what others suggest, even if it goes against your desires or dreams. You surrender to the opinions of others, as if your own voice were silenced by a need for approval. This passive acceptance is a reflection of an internal dynamic where fear of rejection or doubt about your worth predominate. Without realizing it, you have become hostage to an emotional routine that reinforces your vulnerability. And the most important thing is to understand that none of this means that you are weak or incapable. In fact, you are stuck in an old pattern, an unconscious repetition of attitudes and thoughts that have been shaped by influences that are often not even your own. This resistance to the new, to what you really want, is a matter of habit, of an invisible force that acts silently, reinforcing a feeling of powerlessness that does not match your true inner strength. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step in breaking this cycle. You no longer need to settle for a routine that limits you. Your potential is greater than this silent shadow that insists on keeping you in the same position. From now on, your journey of self-discovery will begin to free you from these invisible bonds. And by understanding who these destructive influences really are, you will gain the power to protect yourself, strengthen your self-esteem, and transform your emotional journey. Get ready, because the next step is to discover how to break these patterns and regain control of your life. Have you ever felt that a silent shadow is always by your side, sapping your strength and stealing your hope? Perhaps it comes from people who seem close, but who actually feed your doubts, fear, and despair. These invisible influences have a devastating power over you, even if you don't realize it. They whisper that your achievements are insignificant, that you are incapable, that your feelings are exaggerated, or that your emotions are wrong. And slowly, you begin to doubt yourself, to stray from your essence, to accept a narrative of vulnerability that is not yours. It was Carl Jung who alerted us to a profound truth. There are forces disguised as care and friendship that can turn into emotional traps. These people represent what he called dangerous types, those who, often without conscious intent, feed your insecurity, fuel your inertia, and block your growth. They seem to want to protect you, but in reality, they create an invisible prison where your voice is silenced, your achievements are minimized, and your potential is sabotaged. Imagine for a moment your truest essence, the one that may have been hidden for years behind criticism, internal doubts, and toxic influence. You know deep down that there is a force within you that desires freedom, that yearns for authenticity, and a space where you can truly be yourself. But these people, with their words laden with doubt, create a dark fog around you, hindering this connection with your own essence. They make you believe that your emotions, your dreams, and your limits are wrong. And so you lose yourself in a routine of silent resistance, of fear of trying, of hiding from yourself. Now the big question is, how long are you going to continue living like this? The longer you postpone acknowledging this shadow, the stronger it will become, the more your hope will be consumed by doubts and insecurities. It is a cycle that remains invisible, but consumes your energy, your joy, and your will to change. You deserve more than the constant shadow of fear. You deserve to hear your own voice, loud and clear, free from the influences that try to extinguish your light. Your story of resistance begins now, with the recognition that these dangerous forces exist, but that you have the power to face them. The first step is to realize that this is not weakness, but an internal battle against what is trying to limit you. You are stronger than you think, and your path to emotional freedom begins with a simple but powerful decision: to look within, to connect with your truth, and to not allow anyone, no matter how close they seem, to dictate who you are or how far you can go. And I want to hear from you now. Which of these dangerous people has somehow tried to silence your voice? How have you noticed this influence in your life? Share in the comments, because your story, your struggle, and your hope can inspire someone who, like you, is seeking to free themselves from this shadow. Your journey is unique, but it is also part of a universal truth. You deserve to live with authenticity, courage, and peace. You come home after a hard day at work, tired, your head heavy with thoughts that seem to never stop. You try to relax, but a silent voice inside you insists on reminding you of the criticism and doubts that arose throughout the day. Maybe you received a comment that seemed insignificant at the time, but upon reflection, it turns into an open wound. You're not good enough, or you always make the same mistakes. These words seem small, but they carry enormous weight, like a shadow that insists on following you, silently undermining your self-esteem. In your daily routine, these small actions accumulate. A message from a coworker that minimizes your efforts. A remark from a friend that seems to cast doubt in your mind. A comment from a family member that, even without realizing it, reinforces your insecurity. Each of these seemingly harmless gestures acts like a drop that over time fills your cup of insecurity. You feel increasingly unable to assert yourself, to defend yourself. You feel that no matter how hard you try, there is always someone there, ready to devalue your achievements, to make you doubt whether you really deserve success or happiness. You begin to internalize these small aggressions, and they become a constant voice in your head, telling you that you are not good enough, that your efforts are useless. Every attempt to set boundaries is frustrated because you feel guilty or ashamed for defending yourself. You avoid confronting these situations, preferring to remain silent and accept the silence, even if it means feeling increasingly empty inside. Sadness grows silently, fueled by this cycle of small humiliations and doubts that seem irrelevant, but are actually slowly eating away at your soul. Deep down, you know that this situation is not healthy, but the pain of feeling powerless, of not being able to change what weakens you, is greater than the will to fight. You feel trapped in a routine of silence, of self-questioning that seems to never end. It is as if, every day, a part of you is fading away, leaving a void that seems impossible to fill. This feeling of dissatisfaction, of not being heard or valued, becomes a constant pain that accompanies you, reminding you that no matter how hard you try, you are still trapped in the invisible shadows that prevent you from finding your true strength. When you think about your personal and romantic relationships, can you see how small actions may be feeding an invisible shadow that distances you from what really matters? Often, without realizing it, we end up accepting behaviors that undermine our self-esteem and create a constant feeling of emptiness. These attitudes, such as subtle criticism, comments that diminish your achievements, or gestures that seem harmless, accumulate, forming a kind of invisible wall between you and those you love. It is as if, over time, you close yourself off, failing to express your true emotions, needs, and dreams for fear of being rejected or appearing vulnerable. And so, daily life becomes a dance of silence, where your own voices become increasingly muffled, while the shadow of doubt and insecurity grows within you. Imagine yourself on a typical morning, waking up next to someone you love. You would like to feel that genuine connection, that sense that you can trust, that you are heard and understood. But as the days go by, small actions begin to erode that possibility. Comments like, "You always do that wrong," or "You're not good enough," seem harmless, but in fact, they are drops that over time fill your cup with insecurity. You begin to doubt yourself, to withdraw, to avoid opening your heart. This routine of emotional self-neglect causes you to stop standing up for yourself, defending your boundaries, and expressing your deepest feelings. You become a silent spectator of your own life, trapped in a narrative of diminishment, where your voice is silenced by gestures, words, and attitudes that, although small, weigh heavily on your soul. This dynamic destroys your connection, not only with those around you, but also with yourself. You feel a growing emptiness, a sense that you are living outside yourself without authenticity, without strength. This routine makes you believe that it is normal to feel insecure, that criticism is part of love, and that somehow this is the only way to maintain the relationship. But the truth is that this self-abandonment is a silent invitation to accept vulnerability as your only companion, while the shadow of doubt and fear become your constant companions. And then you ask yourself, how long will you accept this routine of silence and silent pain? Do you really want to continue living like this, letting your voice fade away while your essence is drained? It's time to reflect on whether you are willing to continue in this cycle of self-neglect, or if, once and for all, you will find the courage to reconnect with who you really are. Your life deserves more than this silent shadow. You deserve to hear your own voice and be heard by those who really matter. When you allow these people to undermine your self-esteem, your body reacts as if it were in a constant fight, activating the alarm system, the sympathetic nervous system, which prepares your body for combat or flight. This continuous activation causes your muscles to tense up, your breathing to become shallow, and your heart to beat faster, even if you are sitting at work or at home in silence. Over time, this chronic tension manifests itself in frequent headaches, unexplained muscle aches, and a constant feeling of tiredness that doesn't seem to go away, even after hours of rest. You may also notice changes in your sleep, difficulty sleeping, or restless dreams, which reflect a mind overwhelmed with worries and repressed emotions. These physical reactions are clear signs that your body is begging for emotional boundaries. It is saying, stop, listen, protect yourself. Ignoring these signs is like putting a blindfold over what your body has been trying to warn you about for a long time. If you don't listen to these signs, the emotional wear and tear intensifies, leading to exhaustion, chronic anxiety, feelings of helplessness, and even depression. Your skin may react with signs of irritation or acne, your stomach may feel queasy, and you may feel constant pressure in your chest, as if you are carrying an invisible weight. These symptoms don't come out of nowhere. They are your physical connection to emotions you can't or don't want to confront. Your body is begging for boundaries, for respect for your emotions, and for a break. You need to listen to these signs urgently. To understand that this physical pain is a cry for help. Don't ignore it anymore. Your body is tired of waiting. Your emotional life is crying out for boundaries and recognition. It's time to stop denying what your body has been telling you for a long time. You deserve a space where you can breathe, feel, and protect yourself. Your life depends on it. At first, it's subtle. A forced smile when you hear a complaint, a word of agreement when your limit has already been crossed. But over time, that backpack gets heavier, and the feeling of exhaustion becomes almost physical. You find yourself tired, even after a night's sleep, with a heavy head, as if you were carrying an invisible weight that only increases. More and more, it seems like you are in a cycle with no way out, where giving more than you can only feeds what is already too much. The more you try to please, the more people seem to demand. And the more you give in, the more they feel entitled to ask for even more. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, gaining speed, size, and force. Each request fulfilled becomes an emotional debt that will never be fully repaid, and the feeling of always being one step behind intensifies. As the months go by, this cycle becomes an almost automatic routine. You wake up already thinking about everything you need to do, who is still waiting for your attention, your help, your understanding. Even the silence of your own heart seems to be drowned out by the noise of external demands. This overload manifests itself in the body. Constant headaches, tense muscles, a feeling of heaviness in the back and shoulders that only increases. Your energy is depleted, your motivation wanes, and the hope that things will someday get better slowly fades away. Every day, you feel more distant from yourself, as if you are living a life that is not yours, just a routine of giving and giving until there is nothing left. And all this happens while you wonder, in the silence of your mind, if this wheel will ever stop turning, or if you will always be condemned to this cycle of pain and fatigue, fueled by the hope that maybe this time someone will notice how tired you are. But the truth is, the more you give, the more the demands increase. And how long can you keep this snowball rolling? When you support this content, you help others who, like you, face silent shadows, doubts that erode their self-esteem, and pain that seems endless. You are here because you want something more, a life where authenticity and courage prevail. You deserve this transformation, and your support makes all the difference in the journey of those who also seek to free themselves from these destructive forces. Remember, recognizing the invisible dangers, the people who feed doubt, fear, and hopelessness, is the first step to victory. You have already taken an important step by watching this far, and that shows your strength and determination. From now on, you can choose a new narrative. one where you are the protagonist, where your inner strength is greater than any shadow. Believe me, change begins with your decision to free yourself, to value yourself, and to set boundaries that protect your peace. You are not alone in this battle. Every effort you make, every step towards self-knowledge is a victory that brings you closer to a fuller, more authentic life. So keep that hope alive, share your light, and know that the power to transform your story is entirely in your hands. You are capable of overcoming any obstacle, of reclaiming your essence, and of creating a life of courage, peace, and true freedom. Every step you've taken so far is proof of your courage and determination to achieve a more authentic and fulfilling life. Believe that change is possible and within your reach. Even in the face of difficulties, even when obstacles seem insurmountable, you have within you a powerful force capable of overcoming any shadow. Don't let fear or doubt dictate who you are or who you can become. Your essence is greater than any negative influence that tries to extinguish your light. Every challenge you face is an opportunity for growth, strengthening, and rediscovery of yourself. You have the power to rewrite your story, to set boundaries, and to free yourself from the forces that try to hold you back. Remember, you are not your pain, your insecurities, or the voices that try to diminish you. You are a vibrant soul, capable of transforming pain into strength, fear into courage, and doubts into certainty. The first step toward a freer and happier life is to believe in your ability to change. You deserve an existence of authenticity, inner peace, and self-love. And that journey begins now, with the decision to value yourself and protect yourself from influences that are not good for you. You are not alone in this struggle. There is enormous strength within you, ready to awaken and illuminate your path. Believe that your transformation is real and possible. Now lift your head up, take a deep breath, and take the next step with hope in your heart, because the best is yet to come. Your story of overcoming adversity continues, and every day you get closer to your true potential. You are capable of all this and much more. Your strength is greater than any shadow. Stay strong, because your tomorrow awaits you, full of possibilities and light. And remember, your journey of self-discovery and liberation depends only on you. So go ahead, trust in your power, and achieve the life you deserve. Every decision you make today can be the decisive step toward freeing yourself from these shadows and rebuilding your self-esteem, your hope, and your essence. You have within you a strength greater than any negative influence, a courage capable of transforming pain into growth and fear into courage. Believe in your potential for change, set boundaries, value yourself, and move forward with renewed hope. Your journey of evolution begins now with the decision to free yourself and take care of yourself with love and respect. If you feel that this message has touched your heart, subscribe to the channel right now. Activate notifications so you don't miss the next videos, because they are essential to continue this journey of self-knowledge and transformation. And above all, watch the next video I'm leaving here on the screen, because it's the next step in your journey of courage, hope, and renewal. Remember, you are your greatest strength, and the change you seek begins with the decision to protect yourself, to recognize your essence, and to move forward, confident that a fuller, more authentic, and freer life is within your reach. You deserve this transformation, and it starts now with you.